morning. It's Pastor Jim Cymbala in my neighborhood. What's your neighborhood? Mine is right now, I'm in a building. This is the Fulton Street building. So our church's address is 17 Smith Street, but we have 3 office buildings, 5 stories each, and then this mammoth theater we've converted into our church. You want to come and see it? April 21 through 23. Fan the Flame Conference. We're going to go after God. God, you know that verse in 2 Timothy, stir up the gift of God within you. Notice Timothy had a gift. And now Paul is saying, stir it up, fan the flame. Come on. There's some little embers, a little glowing there. Oh, it can become a real fire if you fan the flame. So check out the website, brooklyntabernacle.org, and you can learn more about it. You know what? I just realized I lied. I said that on Monday of this week, we would start 1 Samuel, and we're going to get there next Monday, but this is so needed, isn't it? We are now in the book of Judges. We have followed from the call of Abraham through, through ending up in Egypt at the end, the people becoming slaves. God raises up Moses in the book of Exodus, and then they come out of Egypt, and then they wander for 40 years because of their unbelief. And now in Joshua, they've crossed over under his leadership, and they're possessing the land, but not totally. And now the most depressing book in the Old Testament, historical book, the book of Judges. I mean, really. Joshua dies, and the whole thing goes to pot. I mean, literally to pot. God raises up these judges, but why he has to keep raising them up? Remember, they have no king. Very important. They're a theocracy, not a monarchy with a monarch, a king. Now Joshua's gone, and God has to keep raising up these judges. Why? Because they get oppressed by the tribes and the peoples who attack them or who they've left in the land. So they're getting used and abused. That's a phrase I used to hear in the basketball court. Dude, I'm going to use you and abuse you. And then they cry out to God, and God hears their prayer and raises up a judge, Jephthah, Samson, Deborah, a woman, and others. And they are used by God to throw off the yoke of the enemy. And they all celebrate, and they're devoted to God for the next 36 hours. And then the decline sets in again. They get apathetic toward God, and then God says, oh, you don't want to serve me? Okay. How about the Philistines? Why don't you serve them for 40, 50 years and see how great it is? That's the story of the book of Judges. Up and down like some Christian lives. On fire for God, then drifting away, then chastening. God sends judgment, actually, on them and brings them under the yoke of some tribe, some people. And then they cry out to God because they're being hurt and abused. Did you know some kids who are Hebrews, Israelites, in the book of Judges, they never knew what it was to be free. Never. They were under the yoke of some of these foreign entities. And then they cried out to God, and what's amazing is God is so faithful in answering prayer, he would deliver them. Only within 5 years, 3 years, whatever, fall away again, and God sends another marauder to come in to get their attention. Is God ever sent something in your life which was not pleasant to get your attention? He has mine. Plenty. Plenty times I was drifting, wandering, disobedient, and God said something, sent something in my life. It could be a sentence, a word, a happening, and it was his way of saying, hello, do you remember me? I love you. You're safe with me. With no one else are you safe. God ever done that? Maybe he's doing it to you today. You're drifting. You're one of the, from the 60s, the Drifters. That was a singing group. But it's no joke when it's spiritually drifting. And it ends up at the end of the book of Judges. It's so bad because there's such a declension, a decline in spiritual honesty, dedication, consecration. That's the word. People will not consecrate themselves to the Lord. Sure, a leader is raised up, but even some of these leaders are like, whoa, what's that about? I mean, you know, Samson is raised up by God, but he's fooling around with Delilah and playing games with her. Like, guess what the secret of my strength is, you know? And I said, Judges. And historically, it's the book before 1 Samuel, which will begin on Monday, I promise. You know what the saddest sentence is in the whole book at the end of Judges? It got to the place where everybody was doing was right, what was right in their own eyes. I mangled that sentence, so listen. And everyone did what was right in their own eyes, not in God's eyes. No. What the law said, what Moses' writing said, no. No, right in my own eyes. It was moral relativity thousands of years before we started talking about it. It's right if I think it's right. It's wrong if I think it's wrong. But I decide. I don't submit to God. That is so pronounced in the culture that we live in, the arrogance that we have, the pride. I decide. No, but the Bible said, no, that's what you say it says. Haven't you ever heard that? No. I do what's right in my own eyes, which gives us the feeling of we're in charge of our lives. We judge God. We're not going to let God judge us. God must submit to us. Everything submits to us because we're the center of the universe. Don't do that. Let's fall before his face today. Make him your king. Because the king, yes, he gives orders, but they're always for our good. Let's obey him. But remember, the king also protects us. And in the day of trouble, he'll always be there for us. God bless you. See you Monday where we will start 1 Samuel. Blessings.